Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. For the grammar lesson for today, we'll continue off the same kind of page that we did for last week. Last week we covered demonstrative pronouns. And just as a reminder, demonstrative pronouns show relationship of proximity. So this is something that's close to you versus those something that's far from you. Hada versus dhalika. And then the plural, haulai, these versus ulaika, those. And there's obviously in Arabic we can't just memorize two forms of everything. That would be too easy. That's English. In Arabic you have to memorize six forms because there's masculine, feminine, singular, plural, and dual. So it's a little bit more difficult, but hopefully you gotta hang onto those. Here we'll cover a concept that's similar, and because it's so similar, it's a little bit tricky, but it's actually different. And it's the concept of relative pronouns. So what is even in English a lot of people don't know what relative pronouns are, so we'll cover that first. Demonstrative is easy. Proximity, showing where it is relative to the speaker. This is something close to the speaker. That is something far from the speaker. That's very simple. A relative pronoun is more abstract. It's used when you have to describe a definite noun. And this is more of an Arabic rule, but it describes a noun that previously came in the sentence. But how does it describe that noun? It describes it using a full sentence, another full sentence or clause. Okay, this is different from a phrase. A phrase you can just describe without using a relative pronoun. For example, let's see, the sun brightly shining rose today. You can say that. You don't need to add relative pronoun. But you have to say the sun that is brightly shining rose today. So when you have a verb specifically or some kind of complete clause, then you use relative pronouns. And it's more complicated in English, in fact. So let's just stick with Arabic from here on out. But just a few more examples in English. I read the book that you gave me. This is a relative pronoun. Why? Because you gave me is a full sentence, right? It's a full sentence. You gave me. It has a subject, verb, object. Everything is fine with that sentence. But it's part of another sentence, and this you gave me describes the book. You could have stopped here. I read the book, period. You could have stopped there. But you wanted to describe which book? You use a relative pronoun that, and that because why do you use a relative pronoun between the book and the describer of the book? Because the full sentence. I read the book that you gave me. I read that book. Is this a relative pronoun? No, it's a demonstrative pronoun. I read that book. It's more of a demonstrative adjective here. You could have said I read that. But why did I choose this example? It's confusing because the same exact word. Same exact word. Okay? And in Arabic, they're never the same exact words. That's the good thing. So you have different words for each. But when you translate them, you'll get confused because it's the same exact word again. So the problem is not in Arabic, it's in the translating into English that makes it more confusing than it should be. If you learned Arabic as growing up, this would not even be something that we have to discuss basically. But it's confusing because it's so similar to demonstrative pronoun. Again, we'll have another example. Those who do righteous deeds will be rewarded. This, sorry, who do righteous deeds is pretty much a full sentence. It doesn't sound like it, but it is full, at least a full clause. This, those, what is it describing? It's describing something that came in the sentence before. Okay, so it was like, or something that's coming at a different time. But either way, it's introducing a descriptive clause to another noun. So this is a relative pronoun. Check. This was a relative pronoun. This. How about here? Those are those who will be rewarded. I forgot the ed. This is trying to confuse you, but the first one is demonstrative. The second one is descriptive, and sorry, not descriptive, relative. And this relative pronoun is describing this demonstrative pronoun with a full clause. Okay, so just to make sure you have everything right, go back to the sentence because it's the same word used twice. Once as a demonstrative, one as a relative, and you'll see this in the Quran. أولئك الذين ليس لهم في الآخرة إلا النار. Ulaika is those as a demonstrative, meaning not close to the speaker, whether in actual physical position or in some kind of abstract ideal position. But those as a demonstrative, ulaika alladhina, and then alladhina. Ulaika alladhina, they are those who, or those are those who. Okay, so just like this, those are those who. Those are ulaika alladhina laysa lahum fil akhirati illa an-nar. Those are those who, for them in the akhirah is nothing except now. So you'll see the same construction in Arabic. So it's not just to confuse you actually. Okay, so in Arabic, these are the six relative pronouns. So all of them mean something who. Okay, it's all something who. We always translate it that way because it's relatives. Or this is for a person or something that, if it's for a inanimate object, like the book. The book that I gave you. Okay, the book that I gave you. So this is actually type 1. I should say that. I should make that clear. In Arabic, there and in kind of in English, there are two types. So the type 1 is slightly easier to understand. Again, in Arabic, this will always, always, always come after a definite noun. So good that we reviewed definite nouns, right? And good that you all remember, of course. Uh, so a definite noun, there are a few different, there are quite a few categories actually. Simplest one is one that has alif lam. So if you want to describe a word that's alif lam with a full sentence, you use one of these. Not the type 2, you use type 1. Okay? And you never use this with the indefinite noun, or all pronouns are definite. Remember, that's another whole category of definite. So as soon as you see a pronoun, you use this because it's also definite. Again, all the idafa things that are definite, all those things, you have to remember those because it's important here. So if you want to describe any definite noun, ism, you use one of these to do it with the full clause. So alladhi is he, who, or it, that. Allati is the feminine. So this column right here is masculine column. This column right here is feminine column. This is singular. This is dual. This is plural. Okay? And all of them are, you combine a pronoun before it. So this could be he, who, or it, that. Again, there's no if you think about this concept very carefully. In Arabic, there's nothing to distinguish between he, who, and it, that. The only reason we have to distinguish is because when we translate in English, if we say the book who I read, that doesn't make any sense. But al kitab alladhi qara'tu, or al kitab alladhi qara'tuhu, that makes perfect sense, even though it's the same thing. So again, it's a problem only because we are translating. This is the dual form of this. So they, who, or they too. You should probably put two here. And masculine. Because the separate feminine. Alladhina is those who, or those that. And this is the feminine of the same thing. She, who, it, that. They, feminine, who, or it, too, that. Allati is those, that. Okay, and I know I said it very quickly, but just go over this table inshallah. Hopefully you at least get the big concept and you can memorize the actual words by yourself without too much trouble. If you want a few hints, you'll notice that all of the masculine have the. Alladhi, alladhani, alladhina. All the feminine have ta. That's just a hint. And this is not this, how you pronounce this is allati. Make sure you see the alif, okay? Because allati is here, allati is the plural, alladhi, alladhina. So a few examples in Arabic that we did already. Most of these we did already. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. Hopefully you remember this ayah. هو الذي, he is, that's the mubtada, هو. He is الذي, he who. خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. He created for you what is in the earth together. So again, you can put the is here. Some people put the is in other places, but either way, alladhi is describing huwa with the full sentence and it's within a sentence. Okay. Usually it's within should I say this? I don't know. We'll continue, and if you guys are confused, I'll describe it some more. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Notice this is definite. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ is the second or third ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Why am I stressing lil? Alif lam. Al-muttaqin. Definite. Describing those muttaqeen in the next ayah, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. So it's describing a word with a complete sentence. Again, يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They believe in the unseen. That's a complete sentence. فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي. Just to use a feminine example. فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي. An-nar is feminine. Again, it's also definite. Fear the hellfire. الَّتِي. That it which وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. Its fuel is men and stones. Again, we had hajar in the vocabulary, so it's a good review. Hijara is plural. So هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا الذين يؤمنون بالغيب فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة. This example could be confusing to some, but don't confuse yourself, okay? Because it's separated in mubtada and khabar, okay? So if you but normally in most cases they'll just be within either mubtada or within khabar. And with verbal sentences it's very easy to see. Okay, so you describe a word and the sentence follows. Here, both of these examples, you're describing huwa, yes, but it's separated by mubtada khabar. Here it's even in a different sentence. So just to give you a taste of the different ways they're used. The general idea, however, is all the same. Type 2. Ma and man. Ma and man you know as who, what and who. They can be used as question words. But if you have an indefinite noun, they can also be used as relative pronoun. So if you want to use something that's indefinite, you use these. Okay? Ma is what or whatever. And we had this before. We even had it today. I told you as a heads up. Who and whoever. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Yeah. That's one example. Here's another example. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَقُولُ. We know that the man is not describing a nas. 100%. Why? Because if it was describing a nas, it would be type 1, alladhi, or alladhina, because plural. Here, though, it's a subset. From among mankind are those who is he who يقول آمنا بالله. Okay? So again, what is it describing exactly? It's an indefinite subject, so you can't really point to what it's describing. But he from among mankind is he who. So it's kind of the same as the alladhi we were covering before, sort of. Okay? Because you can't really point to what exactly it's describing. But the most important thing is indefinite. So you know it's not describing an-nas. It's not describing that because you'd use alladhina for that. So from among mankind is he who may yaqul. Again, this is a more complicated example. This one is slightly easier. Kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum. Eat from the tayyibat. You could have put a period here. Again, with all of these, you can just put a period. Okay? Unless it's describing something from the previous ayah. So kulu min tayyibat, period. Or kulu min tayyibati, describing what? Ma razaqnakum. Notice very clearly tayyibat is not definite. Okay? So eat from طيبات ما رزقناكم. Eat from the طيبات ما رزقناكم. And again, this ma and man being categorized as relative, it's up to debate. I mean, is it relative? This could also, if you want to characterize as this as a noun, you would actually probably say this is idafa. Min طيبات ما رزقناكم. Not because of the kasra, but because it has a single. Okay? Obviously, well, let me cancel that. Because tayyibat can never take a tanween kasra. It's just a rule. Okay? But anyways, I probably just confused you more. But again, Idea is that these are used with indefinite nouns as a relative pronoun. Okay. So yeah, probably again this could be also an idafa. طيبات ما رزقناكم, good, the pure things of what I gave you. The pure of what I gave you. But again, it's up to debate. So without confusing you further, inshallah, you can review these. Focus more on the type one. Alladhi, allati, alladina, and allati. Because these are just there for, they don't really have a particular use in grammar, but you can just categorize them as relative pronouns